Well, hey there, everyone. It's your good friend Eric. Welcome to the Leading Edge Podcast. This is episode number 44. This is called Strategies for Right Now. I'm making this based on what's happening right now, what's in the news, what most of us are thinking about a lot, and that is COVID-19, coronavirus. And so I wanted to make a podcast for you to help you out with that and to make, I wanted to make something just super relevant for today because the folks that I interact with in person have a lot of questions. Some people are feeling anxious, upset, unsure. All those things make sense. And so that is why I'm making this podcast, because I want to help you out with this. So what I'll tell you right up front, I'll tell you what this is not. Okay, so this is not Pollyannic, like, hey, this is no big deal, this is no problem, don't sweat it, don't worry about it. It's not that, okay? So, what's happening obviously is real. What's happening on the stock market is real. As I'm recording this, yesterday the stock market went down 2,000 points. That's real. Today it looks like the stock market may be up. But anyway, real things are happening. People have real feelings, real emotions. This is having an obvious impact on people's health. That's all real. So I just want to say up front what this is not. This is not, again, some Pollyannic kind of thing. All right. But what this is some thoughts on strategies that I think will help you and then ultimately help other people. Okay. So I think that if we all collectively take great ownership of our mindset and how we're viewing this and our perspective and our actions, I think we're all going to be better off. All right. So why don't we start with this? Why don't we start with one thing I think is really going to help you out is to understand behavior of human beings. Okay. So as you're watching things that seem crazy, that's a word that's being used a whole lot right now, crazy. As you're watching what seems to be crazy behavior, it may help you just to give it some context and to understand why people are behaving the way that they are. And it's actually not crazy. There's some meaning and reasoning behind it. So this may give you a chance to kind of, maybe sit back and chuckle. And I don't mean to make fun of people that are behaving in these ways, but I think it'll just help you to give it some context. All right. So the main part about behavior and kind of, I guess, our psychology lesson as we kick off this podcast is to understand that human beings, they have 6 core needs. And number one on that list, the most important thing for every human being, the number one need that every human being has is a need for certainty. Human beings have a need for certainty before anything else. So before a need to feel significant or a need to feel love and connection, a need to feel meaning, before any of those things can occur, a human being needs to feel certain. And it's that feeling of certainty that then allows us to move forward and go on and to be able to experience the other things that we want to experience. But it all starts with certainty. And so let me ask you this. The average person right now, the average Joe on the street who, listens to a whole lot of the news, is in their Facebook feed a lot, how certain are they feeling? And they're not feeling too certain at all when it comes to COVID-19, the coronavirus, because the reality is there's a whole lot that's unknown, at least on the surface, right? So there's unknown on, how long will it last? Will I get it? How will I feel when I get it? What's the impact going to be? Will I give it to other people? How long will this go on? What's it going to take to have a vaccine? Like, all those things are swirling in people's brain. They don't have certainty, and human beings have a really hard time with uncertainty. And we can now see the tangible evidence of this, how people behave when there's a whole lot of uncertainty. They don't like it. So that's why, I'm telling you, that's why people go buy a bunch of toilet paper. In their brain, they're saying to themselves, well, at least I have toilet paper. At least if I'm hunkered down in my house for a long time, at least I'm going to have toilet paper. All right. So that, as crazy, I'll use that word, as crazy as that sounds, that's the truth. People, they crave certainty at such a high level that they will do seemingly irrational things. They'll have seemingly irrational behavior in order to create any kind of certainty that they can in their life. They just grasp for any kind of certainty that they can, because they have a hard time with uncertainty. So what can you do about this? What can you do for yourself? What can you do for other people? What you can do, and this is a big deal. We're kind of joking about toilet paper and kind of chuckling at other people's behavior, but here's the big deal. You yourself may be feeling really uncertain, and it's a big deal for you to shift that and at least transform that somewhat. And what you need to do, and this again super important, is you need to infuse some clarity into your brain. All right, you need to infuse some certainty, some clarity into your brain, and all that means is you becoming focused on what you are certain about. Here's the thing: if I were to ask you, okay, I want you to list out the things that you are certain about. Right now, it seems like there's some things you're uncertain about. What are the things you're certain about? And we could even think of this like you're going to write it on a piece of paper. Let's draw a line down the middle of the paper. Let's create two columns. Left column, things that you're certain about. Right column, things that you're uncertain about. You probably would have no problem writing down some things in the right column. Well, here's all the things I'm uncertain about. A whole lot of those things would be due to coronavirus and that virus, and then maybe the economic impact of that. But over on the left column, things that you're certain about. The thing is, guys, the list wouldn't be blank, right? It would, if I really asked you, and if we really spent the time, and if I really looked at you and asked you to consider what are the things that you're certain about, again, the list would not be blank. There are things you are certain about, okay? And it may be things as simple as your family, right? And your friends, and your ability to add value, and the fact that you are a resourceful person, and the fact that you're a healthy person right now, and the fact that it is super likely that if you were to contract this disease that you would recover. You'd probably feel bad for a few days, like really bad, but it's super likely you would recover. You can be certain about that. You can be certain about the long-term health of our economy, the long-term health of your real estate market, the fundamentals that are in place economically. One thing that's interesting about what's happening right now on Wall Street and the downturn that we're seeing is that it's likely that the recovery will be quick because there are not things that are broken. Compared to 2008 in the Great Recession, what was happening there, and the reason why things took so long to recover is that there were so many things that were broken, just like fundamentally broken. Banks were broken in the way they were doing business, and the whole mortgage-backed securities thing, and people were way over leveraged in their homes, and that was broken. That's why real estate was broken. We were way oversupplied in the market. So the real estate market overall was broken. Going into this, the economy was not broken. Like, there were fundamentally some great things in place. Now, you could argue that the stock market had been on a run for maybe too long, and it was kind of due for a little bit of a correction. But again, I believe that the turnaround from this will be relatively quick because some things are not broken. So anyway, that would make the list of things that you can be certain or clear about, is that it's likely that a recovery from all this financially will be quick. So what I want you to do, again, is to infuse clarity into your brain, infuse clarity, focus on the things that you are certain about, and that will help you. And the reality is there are some things that we're still will be uncertain about, and there are some smart people working on this, and we know that they will eventually come up with a vaccine. That would also make the list of things that you can be certain about. Smart people are working on this. Eventually, we're going to have a vaccine. I mean, that's like inevitable. Play this whole thing out. Smart people will find a solution to this. In the short term, it's going to be uncomfortable, right? So again, infuse clarity. There are things that you can be certain about. Focus on the things that you are certain about, and that will help you manage the uncertainty. So that's number one. Second thing I would ask you to do, the second one I'll give you, how about this one? How about breathe? All right, just breathe. So if you're feeling super anxious about this, really worked up, if you're in those moments where maybe you've overdosed on your Facebook feed or, overdosed on, over participated in conversations about this, or, just watch too much negative news and you find yourself being anxious, just breathe. All right. Just breathe long, deep breaths, right? So what's true when we're feeling nervous or anxious, what happens with our breathing is we make short, quick little breaths, right? We're breathing like from the very top of our body, like we're breathing like almost up in our throat. Well, shift that down. Shift it way down into your stomach and your diaphragm, right down into your core. Take long, nice, deep breaths. Take a pause, pull back, and that alone will shift up your state of being. That alone will shift up your physiology if you can shift up your breathing. So oftentimes that little simple strategy is really helpful. And what if all of us, like collectively, we're just taking deep breaths, right? What if all of us collectively stopped taking these short little quick breaths? Wouldn't we all be in a better place, and wouldn't we be in a better mindset and be way more capable of handling this situation if we could all just breathe in a deep, powerful, methodical, thoughtful way, right? So breathe is another strategy I'll give you. Another one I'll give you is I want you to take control of your brain. I want you to take full control of your brain, because you know what? You are in control of your brain. There's no one else in control of your brain. You're in control of your brain. If it sometimes feels like you don't have control of your brain, well, that's you just choosing to not be in control of your brain. So you've controlled the fact that you are choosing to let other people control your brain. So how about you take back control of your brain? So what that means is controlling your thinking. It's being aware of your thinking. It's thinking about your thinking, and to realizing that you are the master. You are in total control of your brain. Also, what that means is you're choosing what goes into your brain. Okay? You're in massive control as to what goes in to your brain. So ultimately, you're in charge of how long you'll spend reading news about this. You are in ultimate control about your news source on these things. For example, sure, I'll check out news platforms, but you know what I really like? I really like going to the CDC website, the Johns Hopkins website, the World Health Organization website. I'm someone, I just like the facts. Just give me the facts. I want to know what the scientists are saying about this. I don't really need the spin in any direction. So that's a choice I'm making, is to choose who my sources are. So choose your sources, choose what goes in, choose how much of that goes in. And again, I'm not suggesting we be Pollyannic and ignore this. We need to understand, we need to be smart about this, we need to educate ourselves. But, pick super educated, super credible sources. Choose sources that focus on facts, not on spin, so that you are really controlling your brain. You're controlling how you're thinking about this. You also get to be in control of your response, right? So we talk about that term responsibility. Responsibility, you can break into two words, responsibility. And all that means is we, and this is a beautiful, amazing thing, we have the ability to choose our own response. So whatever's happening in the world, we're in ultimate control of how we're going to choose to respond to that. We get to choose our response. So we get to say, here's some facts. How am I going to choose to respond to that? What's going to be the right reaction for me? What's going to be the right thing for me, my family, the people that I lead, right? What's the best response. Okay. The last thing I'll tell you related to this, the last strategy for right now, and this is one to benefit not only yourself but other people. This is mostly about benefiting other people, and this will also for sure benefit you, and that's to stay connected. Stay connected. A reality of what's happening now is that people are going into hunker down mode. And a lot of that is forced upon us, right? It's just so interesting, and I get it, but it's so interesting to see all the things that are being canceled, right? Sporting events, conferences, my niece's school play, right? That she's been working on for months and months. My daughter's volleyball season that's about to start. All those things are being canceled, and people are hunkering down. So in some ways, people have a natural inclination to hunker down in times like this, and in other ways, or in addition to that, people are being forced to hunker down because times and opportunities and platforms, events where people could be connected are being canceled, so they can't be connected. Human beings need to be connected. So that's another one on the list of the 6 core needs of human beings. That's actually number 4 on the list. People need to be connected. So connect with people, and that could be a phone call. It could be a phone call. It could be a text. Shoot someone a video. I yesterday made a point to do this, reaching out to some friends I hadn't talked to in a while, just to catch up, just to chat on the phone. We can kind of chuckle about the, people buying all the toilet paper and and things like that, and then also, have heart to hearts like, hey, how are you guys dealing with this? How are you coping? How are you handling it? How are the kids? It's just super important that we remain very connected, and because of technology, we can still be connected, even though we're seeing people maybe less face to face. But make a point to stay connected, right? Don't try to go through this totally alone. People need to hear from you, and I'm encouraging all the realtors that I work with. Don't make an assumption that your clients don't want to hear from you right now. Oh my gosh, it is totally the opposite. Your clients absolutely want to hear from you. They certainly want to know what's going on in the real estate market. It's our job to tell them. But in so many cases, our clients are our friends, and they want to hear from us. So stay connected. Be intentional about connection. And it could be where you say, all right, today I'm going to connect with 3 people or 2 people or however many it is. I'm going to make this many phone calls or shoot out this many texts, just to let people know I'm thinking about them and want to see how they are. Stay connected. I think that will really help them. It'll help you, and I think it would help all of us collectively, right? So again, these are strategies for right now. More than anything, let's just take a deep breath, right? Let's just take a deep breath. Even if you're out of toilet paper, take a deep breath. You're going to be fine. The human race spent many years without toilet paper, and so you're going to be all right without toilet paper. Look for opportunities to infuse clarity into your brain. How about you model clear behavior and certain behavior? Take total control of your brain and do a great job of staying connected. I so appreciate this podcast because this is a way for me to be connected with all of you. Reach out to me if you have thoughts about this, if you have other things that are helping you, and we'll stay connected as time goes on. And you know what? We're going to be fine. We're going to get through this, and we are in for some discomfort here in the short term. That is for sure. No doubt this will not be comfortable, and part of the reason why is it's super new. We've never in this generation never had to face something like this, so it will be uncomfortable, no doubt. And if you can step back and play this out in your mind, you can kind of see the end of what this is going to look like at the end. Scientists will have some great solutions to this. The great economic minds will have great solutions to this. Governments will step up and create great economic incentives and packages to keep the economy going, prop the economy up. Our health will get worked out again because of super smart people working on this. And in the short term, we're going to have some discomfort, and we'll be okay through that too. All right. So hopefully this was helpful. All of you are awesome. I so appreciate you. I'll see you in the next podcast.